Hey everybody. I was tripping out for a minute because I saw when I pressed record, it said live. And I was like, wait, what? But I didn't press live. So yeah, I think I'm good. I don't know why. I just forgot that whole process, but it'll say live, but it doesn't mean you're live. It means you're being recorded. And if I am live, shit. So thank you for tuning in. So I am responding and answering some questions about my thoughts, me, and yeah. So I know that there are some things about hobbies, experiences, school, work, and all that stuff. So my name's Brandy J. Singleton. Hobbies, I love to write. When I was younger, I used to write a whole lot. I used to do poetry, short stories, um, monologues, and stuff like that. I like to read and I like to sing, but pretty much just use my creativity. So I'm very just about creative, usually creative through writing. I had a few things when I was in high school published in literature in high school. I had a poem named Natural Woman, and that was published. And then I won a poetry contest that I entered myself named Yesterday. I won, and actually, I still have that poem that I revised. So, and I like to write songs. So, yeah, and little raps. And I still have one that I remember way back when I was in high school. But I'm not gonna because yeah, that's probably a Patreon or just for somebody in person versus it's nothing bad or anything. It's just I still remember it and I'm gonna leave that as that. There's some nothing to rap about that. Here I was in high school, Patrick Henry, went to Lewis Junior High School before Patrick Henry High School. Before that, I was in Logan Elementary. And most people in my neighborhood or just in my family would, after Logan, go to like Memorial Junior High School that was up from, like up and around the corner from Logan. And for anyone that on here, because I have a lot of elementary friends still that I, from like kindergarten on, still interact with. Did y'all see that they tore Logan Elementary down? Me and my sister drove past it like a few months ago. We're like, what? Man, the memories. I was on patrol. That's the one they still do to this day where you see the kids in the red and they do the stop sign, the whistle, and all that stuff. That's literally a program that when I see today that is still on point 100. They're still doing that, rock it out. That's a serious job because you really do have to control the traffic. And there's a lot of independence with that. I got on patrol in the 4th grade, stayed on, I think, up to the 6th grade. I made it all the way to lieutenant, I think it was the highest, sergeant, lieutenant. So usually you'll start off as just, the stop signs and stuff, and then you'll get promoted up to now you're the person with the stick and the whistle. And that's once you see the traffic, blow the whistle a certain amount of times for them to drop the stop sign to stop the cars, and you put your stick down, you let the people walk. And then I think you blow it twice, you lift your stick back up, they lift the stop sign back up. So, then I made it up to, so at the highest point, I think it was lieutenant or something, before my dad would pick me up in the morning from my house and I would go to his house because I ended up moving like years, prior, and my mom's married. And then so my dad would get me from the house and then I would go to his house in the morning. He'd have me breakfast and I'd hang, watch TV, cartoons, and all that stuff. And then he'd give me my lunch and then I'd go to school and all that stuff. So when I made it to that level, I basically all I had to do was watch everybody. So I would just stand there in the morning, just make sure everybody did their job. So, but yeah, I made it up to the highest. And a memory I have with that is well, my thing growing up was Punky Brewster. I knew everything Punky Brewster. I was Black Punky Brewster for for Halloween. I remember my sister. This time we were sharing a room. I remember she was just like laying there watching me try to turn our room into like Punky Brewster. And I just remember her sitting there just like. I'm saying a word. She's just like, this is interesting. And my auntie bought me like these shoes that had a Soleil Moon Frye Punky Brewster on the side of them at the lunch pail. I still have some DVDs because shout out to Nicole Winford, during high school, good friend. Our kids went to school together when I was working at my first school, and then she remembered I told her about Punky Brewster, and then she had got me the DVD set for Christmas. And now Punky Brewster has a show where she has kids, so it's crazy, right? Yes. But anyways, I remember when I was on patrol, we went to the convention center, and then I remember I was standing there, and then somebody was bending down. Basically, her butt was in the air. And then all of a sudden, this girl turned around, and Lord behold, it was Soleil Moon Frye, Punky Brewster. And she had boobies, and she was a little stocky, so she got from a little skinny one to like, now she's slender, down, tall, and she had, I think, breasts, because they were heavy and all that stuff. But I think she did have something to where she, all I know is I think that she had problems with them, like they were, which I identify with because I was trying to. I remember I had went to the doctor a few times to see if I can get anything done because they were so heavy. For me, I thought that they were my shoulders, my back would hurt. My doctor was like, "Well, before you do anything like that, maybe lose like basically you're saying like let's start with like losing some weight or something." But I was like, wouldn't that make it worse? And if I'm smaller, then I'm gonna like fall over. But no, that wasn't the case. And later on in life, not even intentionally, when I worked at my other school, because that school was huge as hell, and I was always moving. And man, I should have one of them things on where you count the steps. It helps with my better eating and moving around. And I noticed that I bought a whole new wardrobe. I still fit those clothes to this day. And my breast size went down, which was cool because now I can buy regular sized, cheaper bras instead of having to pay almost damn 100 for one. Yes. But the thing was too also that you have to make sure you have the right size bra on. Even if you think you do, every woman should always have the right size bra. And by knowing that is by going to places like Lane Bryant or something and have them size you up so you know your exact size. So even if you lose weight, your breast size go down. You know what I mean? That's still something to do. But yes, your breast can lose the weight too. And so I was, instead of having to go somewhere and get one of those expensive ass bras, I can just, so that was a plus. So back to Punky Brewster. So she turns around, I was like, oh my gosh. And so make a long story short, I remember this to this day. They're like, okay, we're gonna let some of you guys on patrol back here to go to meet her. Everybody's excited, right? So they're like 1, 2. And then the cutoff was right where I was. I was like, oh, what? Boy, what? And that was it for me. And I just remember to this day, I was just so devastated because, dude, nobody who was up in there was a fan like me. Maybe the world is blind. I know the whole song. Don't mess with me. Oh, just a little unkind. Yeah, don't know. Okay, I'm not gonna sing it all. Anywho, so yes, that's some stuff that I share from then. I was from the era where when marbles were in, and I used to have my dad all the marbles. So like every time we go to school, we'd be like trading the marbles, like the little ones, the big ones, and you know, I think it was more about trading them and see what you had more than actually playing marbles. But I was into marbles, the jack, the ball, the jacks, yeah, those two. I remember at the last school I was working at, had bought some stuff like activities for outside of recess too, for if you just want to kick it, in a center where you can just chill. And I remember I bought some deck. I was like, oh, I'm see the kids, give them some old school. And I remember this one kid over there really trying to figure it out. He was so lost. It was so funny to try to watch this and see, you know. And he took the little ball over to the wall ball and trying to play ball with it instead. It was just funny how they had no idea. Just try sometime with the children, give them some old school games and see what happens, especially if they're on electronics all the time. Give them some other stuff to do, like so they can you have to get that sensory back. We got to give them stuff to do. We can't just let them be on electronics. It's dangerous for all kinds of reasons, social programming and everything, and just not having those skills anymore. How to relate and talk to people. So yeah, for sure. Um, so yeah, Patrick Henry, Lewis, you know, good day, good time, good time. Patrick Henry was something I tell you, just appreciating growing up. I'm not saying always the best decisions, not at all, but still appreciating being a kid and getting to grow up. You know, I had a great mom and good dad, good support system, stepdad, and everything. So I was allowed to be, you know, who I was a child, allowed to grow up, not too fast and just teenager and all that stuff. So I was very grateful for that because I know a lot of people don't get that, you know. So you know, children we have to make sure that we allow them to be a child. Don't try to push them along too fast or anything because you can't get that back, and it'll affect you as an adult. So childhood is very important, and sometimes people don't, for whatever their reasons, different situations, don't get their childhood. But it's such a pivotal time in our life that we need to not take for granted because we all have been there. We've all been children before and had our different experiences, but it's necessary to be able to grow up properly in your age setting. You know, if you're too young for something, then you're too young for it. So, and I see that going on these days here. Let a child be a child. Okay. Sorry. Definitely let a child be a child. An adult is an adult. And that's just, you know what it is. Okay. Uh, I did a little bit of college and journalism and all that stuff, but before that, I ended up going to Mark Twain because of the last my senior year. Was going to get I had started ditching a lot. Like I was a kid that she was a great student, great. But can you tell her to come to class? So, like I had a phase of that in high school. But the thing was, the only thing that screwed me up, you know what I mean, was the getting to it together process was cool and all. But I didn't do them Saturday schools. And so they was like, yeah, you accumulated these. So Miss Singleton. So I'm going to a different school. Um, so let me move along here. That's just a little gist. Uh, so growing up, let's see, different various jobs like in customer service and stuff. I ended up going to school for medical assistant at some point and graduated medical assistant, also business. And, you know, prior to that, before business, I actually was trying to do the criminal justice program, but I got into that because it was a test, and they're very impressed that I made it through that test in one shot because of the questions that they asked. And you know, because I was one that was very interested. Like I used to read law books and laws and like government. They didn't teach that shit in school. Like I learned all my amendments, the Constitution, all the presidents, just everything that you know with the you know Constitution, the articles, and all that stuff, just from me reading because I like to read and not regular stuff. Like sometimes it got to be a real good book. You know, like I read Kiss the Girls like in one day, a book with that movie of Morgan Freeman. But I used to like to read stuff that gave me knowledge, like dictionaries and shit like that, or even like self-help books and stuff, not those like romance books or that blood book stuff like that. I'm good. Uh, let's see. So yeah, so that, and then during the business, I ended up working for the Family Youth Roundtable as the office coordinator, where I basically did much everything that needed to be done to make that place function, and basically kept things going as far as the contacts and any meetings and anything what was going on in the office, outside the office. I appreciate that job because I put myself, very good networker, in that situation to get that job. I knew what I wanted. After I was getting out of business school, I planted myself in certain places, used my connections, and ended up getting that job. Then after that, that's when I started working in the schools because I was always after work or school. This was like after I had graduated, after I had finished, and then my extern, I was on my extern, then got the job, and then but I was still, no matter what, always when I go back to my son's school to get him, I'd be a little early, so I'd always volunteer, even when he's in preschool. Like I used to get awards and stuff because I used to be involved ever since my son's been in school, from preschool to, you know what I mean, to being older. So I would, you know, because you should be involved in those things when where your children go to school at and stuff. They don't seem to do that anymore these days. Um, so I was close with the principals and stuff. Like Miss Marvel, she's still in my life to this day. And she knew that I had went to school and all that stuff. And then I had started working in that field. So she was very supportive. I used to always tell her, I'm like, hey, if you ever need me, business, but I was thinking like business aspect, blah, blah, blah. So something happened over at that place, which wasn't too much surprise later on to what I used to see. And one day I came to school. Luckily, didn't wear. Sometimes I'd have to get up real quick and maybe just the jammies or something on and drop them off. But this morning, I was dressed. So for the most part, I'd be fully dressed already. And then Ms. Cofield comes up to me and says, "Are you ready?" I'm like, "For what?" She says, "Miss Malvin, didn't tell you." She's like, "You start today." I was like, "Oh, okay." Thank God I was dressed. But yeah, so immediately like in the classrooms because I had already been volunteering and I already had that, you know, that great presence and really good at, working with the kids and having a good classroom presence. And so carrying on, throughout the years and stuff, and working with different amazing teachers that, that are very creditable. I'm learning from them. Miss Caulfield and Miss Cunningham really were the ones that I wouldn't have any other way, that I was under, like always around and picked up and learned management, classroom management. Classroom management is what's going to keep your classroom together. If you don't have management, nobody's learning a damn thing. So I was able to always hold my own classroom down because I knew what to do, to do that. So make a long story short, the end of that year or the year, because, they had started messing with us. Like the school system can be very, let's just say it is what it is. And they're trying to shut us down. Though it didn't work out because the community and everything went to the news, school board meetings, school, all that stuff. And for the most part, we made it through. There was a year that came along where it didn't go too well, but we had one more year. So Malvo called on me and Miss Felicia to take over running the school administration to get it back on track, which we killed it, did that damn thing. Had learned so much stuff about how to run a school. I used to get up early in the morning to open the school and just, from the attendance, which is very important, keeping track and all that, doing the transaction and setting things up with, from the lunch people, everything. It just came with a lot, but great experience, responsibilities off the chain, but always handled it like a trooper. So I loved the dynamic from going from being in the classroom teaching to now being administrative and being like kind of the heart of the school, the face of the school, the right in the front. But good morning. Why are you late? And all the other things. It was a task, but still having to interact and maintain the children, because sometimes, there's not, everybody does a little bit of something. You might have to go into a classroom or even go out to the playground. Wise, I'm in the middle of something. This is personal. Get out.
Bye.
Why? Bye. He's an intruder, everybody. Wise is an intruder. Or I'm gonna make a name for him. What's that when you like bomb people's what was I saying? Anywho, so I'm trying to like get through these, but give you guys a story to who you're talking to right now. Uh, doo, doo, doo. So yeah, so I have experience with that too, and then going to my second school, back into the classroom, and with like a whole nother experience. Having my own class and my own students to running a whole program and training people on how to have an effective, safe recess lunch program. It was amazing. So I'll always be grateful to Ms. Smith for that there, that she trusted that in me. But I already knew what it was, knew it because she saw it, and I took care of what I needed to take care of. And if something's getting done well, she could trust me with that. And so that right there, hands down, I appreciate that because I put my heart into it and used things that I saw were effective in around the country. It was called the Safe Recess Program that was being implemented. So if you notice how recess has changed, it has. They used to have 2 into 1, and they're trying to ban it all together. That's a whole nother story. So as far as me as a person, friendship wise, I'm a great friend. You know what I mean? It's really easy. You know, it's not overly complicated. What I don't do is the backbiting, sneaky. When somebody come around, you that funny type of friend. You'll lose me real quick. Bye, 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 please. You know what I mean? We ain't doing that. I don't need. I'm not pressed because when my sister left home, I was used to being able to entertain myself on purpose. Like I had friends, but I'm one of those people in life that can be by herself and okay with it, you know, which I think to be very a good trait to be, because some people don't know how to be alone or be by themselves. I think it's important that you can do that. Some personalities just don't dig it, even if they know how to. They can withstand it, but not really. It's not their thing. I could withstand it, damn near require it, you know, to have my time. You know, I'm that girl that will go out on her birthday by herself and go celebrate myself, go treat myself, go to a movie, all that stuff. Always been okay with. I'm not that person that's like, oh my gosh, they're gonna see me having a meal by myself. Hell no, shit. Don't. I hope you don't see me so you don't come over here and talk. Seriously, I'm okay with that. As much as I'm okay with being with people too. So that's not a problem either. So I think that's a quality I dig about myself because, you know, I always tell people in my son, it's quality over quantity when it comes to people in your life. You know, so that's what's up with that, and it makes for all a good roundabout, you know, person because you know now when you're dealing with other people or in a relationship, you're most likely you're not gonna be concerned with me just trying to be around you all the time. Like, where are you going? Need to be with you. I can know. First of all, I'm a grown woman, but even when I was younger, it's okay to be apart and all that stuff. You know, you don't have to be up somebody's ass 24/7. For to each his own. Some people actually like the shit. They do. It's crazy. And I only say it's crazy because a lot of those types of people that don't know how to have healthy space usually come with a lot of drama between both. It's like they both feed off of it. I live by some. And usually if they're not, their person is pregnant and that's their cycle. So and that's their language of love between those two to each his own. Um, so as far as like dating, and I know this is going to turn into a second part. I didn't have a lot of boyfriends. I still to this day can count how many. As far as relationship wise, I never picked up on like a whole mentality or phase that guys these days think that all girls or women do. I brought up, you know, with a mother that that worked, had a career, a great mom. I had a great dad. My dad always had positive words. We were his little big whip, little whip, me and my sister. And, you know, when I think of my dad, I smile because he was always so funny. My dad was like a lot older, but yeah, it's really funny and positive and never yelled at us or anything like that. And it was his daughters. And so when it comes to men and how to be treated, granted, we all have experiences in life of this guy, you know what I mean, probably isn't the best like for you and you don't have to accept it, you know, and if you do, you know, hopefully you learn from it. So I've had I can't even say my share because I haven't been in a lot of relationships where I was treated poorly, but maybe it just wasn't a great relationship because of that happens. Like we grow for a reason. You know, it doesn't mean that you're defected or anything like that. There comes a point when it probably is something a little bit more when it's repetitive, there's no growth, and you're like a grown ass person still making the same choices and attracting the same type of people and doing the same shit. Um, you know, as you grow up, you get to know yourself more. And even as now, you still get to know yourself more. But the thing is, with it comes a confidence and an assurity of yourself that you know what you want and what you don't want. You know what I mean? We are never going to be perfect, and you may find yourself making a poor decision. But as long as you can pull yourself back from that shit, then you're cool. You know, like lately, a lot of things have been, you know, crossing my mind and stuff about, you know, because you're getting older, obviously, and this is what you do, and about, you know, just people and more of a perspective and stuff, and being, you know, we have to be more aware of like some people don't communicate as much as they think they would or they do, and they feel a certain way, and or some people are sometimes, and you know, and they feel this way, and the next minute it's like, you know, or met somebody, so it could be complicated if you make it complicated. But it's just like me, I'm not like all like naggy and all this and that. It's like I'm just gonna just keep it pushing. It is what it is, all right. Because I know me, you know what I'm saying, and I know that that if it wasn't something there, then it's like it's probably best because I don't want half ass. No one should, man or woman, should half ass. But what we should do is be clear, transparent in any situation, if it's sexual or not, and be clear instead of just letting awkwardness fly or you feel a certain way or this and that. You know what I mean? So be about it. If you say you're about it, but communication is key. If we're adults here, be adults. And when it comes to me, if somebody don't want to be with me or want me to be around, all you got to do is say, okay, but what am I supposed to do? So that's just how I see that. I'm saying that has happened to me. Like I'm just saying that I've been in those situations where somebody's not being clear, or people are what wishy-washy, like because they can make up their minds about stuff. I ain't playing with you. You lost me a long time ago because you're not about to play with my heart. You know what I mean? And not will I'm gonna give it to you, just let you toy with it. Because I would never toy with somebody's heart. And that's just who I am as a person. You know what I mean? That's why when people generalize or say women are all women, let me tell you something. First of all, I'm not trying to call you uneducated, but that's a really uneducated statement because that don't even make sense because you don't even know all women. You don't know me. So therefore, you can't just assume. But if you like take the time out, actually know what you're talking about, trying to guess it because of my sexuality, then you might find your life to be a little different. Yeah, right. People are people, all different. They can be all different. All women don't do the same thing. And if you think about your situation, and then maybe that's probably why. But these are just facts. Uh, you can't tell me, oh, you do that. Women be doing this. Women be cheating. Excuse me, but first of all, my name is Brandy, and I just happen to be a woman. But if you don't know me, then you can't assume that. That once again is ignorant. You're welcome. Okay. Excuses for everything. You know what I mean? It's like just keep it all the way straight and say it correctly like they taught us at school, like how to use words. All right? Thanks. And give same respect back as, because I don't go around saying, oh man, because that'd be stupid of me. It doesn't even sound right to say. It's like, I don't know all men, but some men, because I know all men don't do the same thing. All men don't cheat. All men, you know what I mean? Because I don't know all men. And I know that that's not the case because I had a good father and examples to have a different story, So, uh, 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 um, so that's just some of that there. But I will drop you off with how much time? Okay, we're still in good time, right? Not even 30 minutes yet. So I'll just say a little bit about what I'm seeing these days when it comes to like men and women. Just my thoughts and my and from where I sit in it, and then for me in general, I can't speak for me. I can't speak for all or generalize because I don't. If I'm going to speak, then I'm going to speak accurately and not assume that I know shit that I don't know because of my own experiences. I can only speak for me, right? That's how that should work. Uh, I'll give you an example of a few things. So, like, over time, and it's still going on, how men have said there's women that use men for money. No shit, there's women that do that, but all women don't and haven't. I've never dated somebody or just because of what they can give me, but that is me. I'm a different type of person, and I'm pretty sure there's others like this too. But if I'm with you, if I date you, I like you, and that's a part of me that where I got used to just like not getting close to people because of the fact that I hold myself and my time, more precious, because I am in it if I'm in it. So I'm not in it for just because I want something from you. I'm not about to do things with you because I want something from you. 'Cause first of all, my mom used to always tell me, like, you have this look on your face like people are gonna think you're mean, and I'm like the nicest person. But I get what she was saying, but I'm gonna look the way I'm thinking, and you know what I'm saying? If I don't like you, I can't. I don't like people in my space that I don't really want to be around. You know what I'm saying? I can't rock with it. That's why I'm very, when it comes to me and being around who I'm around. So yeah, I'm not doing that. Even if I would have tried it, it wouldn't have worked because I mean, you're gonna know like because like that because I'm like, if a guy says to me, even like now, like if you want me to say something just because you want to hear it and I'm not feeling it, I'm not gonna say it just because you want to hear it. You know what I mean? I'm not a liar, and I'm not gonna be fake. I'm gonna keep it. You don't know, because I don't want anybody to ever be mistaken of anything about me. I want you to be very clear what's happening and what you're dealing with, so you'll take it very seriously when I give you those boundaries. See what I'm saying? So not because like I said before, if I want to play, I go to the park. I don't play with my feelings or my heart or anything like that. So I'm not gonna play with anybody else's. Very easy to talk to. Some people you can actually use the English language and say things to, versus going the hard route or putting through somebody through, you know what I'm saying? Like just unnecessary stuff. Uh, but so that whole generalizing thing is bullshit. And then I do think also that, like, if you're having a discussion and you're like, and women need to, or black women need to, when that you saying that in the ears, from out a person sitting back and listening in, it sounds like you're saying a whole, like altogether. There's nothing wrong with trimming that down, especially if you're speaking to the people or whoever you're speaking to. You might want to be considerate, or your message can get across even more, execute very, the way that you would like it to, because if you're talking about these things for a reason or just to hear your own voice. But if you're trying to help or deliver a message, then you might want to clean it up a little bit. If you don't care, then you can go home and have that conversation on the phone. But if you do, then it's okay, because I actually have words to fix that for the very reason. Um, but yeah, because I'm not going to sit back and say men need to do this and men be this, men need that, if I'm not talking about all men, and so it's just like those aren't hard to do. And then some people will say, if it's not you, some shit don't work with some things. Okay, like if it don't apply, let it fly. That works with some things. You ain't fooling nobody when you try to throw that in there. Like, know what you're doing with the sayings and the words first, and put that in there and say, don't fly. If you don't fly, let it fly. You know what I'm saying? It's like, know what you're saying and how you say it and how it could be perceived. And that right there is not meaning doing anything. If you don't apply, let it fly. No, it's saying what you think. It's your way of thinking. That's what you're showing, that you think those things about most likely all the women that you're talking about. And if you're not, then you should clear it up so that you can have a more of an effective listener. Because, like I said, if you don't care, then why are you even online talking? And if your intent, what's your intent? You know. Uh, Next. Um, but yeah, that's how I feel about that. And I do the same back. I give that same consideration back. But then that's just a listener, from a listener standpoint, how it sounds. So, um, and just don't be like, assume that all people do this, and that. Break that shit down. It's not hard. You know what I mean? And and this is other one that goes around saying that people are just so sensitive these days. And at first I think it's just like a saying and stuff like that, but it's like, it is what it is, right? Like, the stat, no, people are just so sensitive. Well, I guess they are, but what's the point of you saying it? People can't be overly sensitive. What's overly sensitive to you? It might not be overly sensitive. That's sensitive. I mean, we grew up so many different ways about sensitivity that it's just damn near pathetic that everybody's got something to say about it, and probably as sensitive as hell. Is anything wrong with being sensitive? Not at all. The world needs to be a little bit more sensitive. Anything wrong with a sensitive man? No, I think you can still be a sensitive man and still have your man qualities and not be looked at as a punk You know what I mean? Because sensitivity will help you to understand someone a little bit better. Now, if you're having other issues where you just are, you can't hold it together and you're just, you can't even be, you know what I mean? Like, then yikes. Yeah. Let's see. But as far as not being able to connect with emotions, I think that's bullshit, because people forget here is that just because no matter what we were taught growing up doesn't always mean that it was the correct way. There's a lot of that shit that went in the correct way that could help, because this is the thing, we're still a human being. Women are human beings, men are human beings. People need to be able to connect and be able to deal with certain stuff, which comes with a sensitive and an emotion that they need to deal with, because then you get somebody that can't connect, they won't even deal with them own selves because they're ashamed, because people ashamed them for having no sympathy or empathy or being able to have emotions with somebody. Like, how does that work when it comes to being with your significant other, and romantic, and you know what I mean? Like, do you even love her? Like, I don't get why people feel the need to tell somebody else about their emotions and all that stuff. And just do it your own. To each his own. And once again, we are all human beings that our minds work a little differently depending on our experiences, or just how we are, who we are as a person, as you were designed, and whoever God may chosen you to be. So think about that before you open your mouth. But I've heard many men talk about how they wish they were able to be okay with dealing with their emotions and dealing with and being able to cry. Because let me tell you something about crying. First of all, if you're smart at all, you know that crying is something that happens for a reason. It's not something you should be able to control or get rid of, like it's a disease or like something you shouldn't have. They have tear ducts for a reason. So those need to be released. Now the emotions that come behind them, deal with them. People have lost and do all kinds of stuff that requires to cry. No one should be shamed for using what God gave them to use them for. And that's what that is. People try to generalize too much of what a woman and a man should not be able to do when you did not create the woman or a man. You learn from traditions and things like that in our life, and what we were taught. And we know very much so that I truly believe that a woman is a woman and a man is a man. A man knows what it is and how it feels to be a man, as a woman does too. So therefore, a man can tell you how it feels and how they deal with stuff. That is great. And men need to be more in their children's lives. Male children do need that father. If they have that father, please be there for them. If they don't, doesn't mean that the woman is doing wrong by her child, doesn't mean she's teaching them things that she should not be teaching, because if you don't know her, then don't make that assumption. But at the same time, don't discredit the ones throughout time. I know a lot of old women that's how it panned out for them. Doesn't mean that she didn't want to have or did not have, you know what I mean? It's just that you just can't judge everybody's situation. You know what I mean? You can speak on people that are in that situation. You know what I mean? So I'm single and I have a son. You know what I mean? And you wouldn't know anything about me or how I raised them or anything like that unless you knew me or you spoke to me personally. So therefore, what I'm saying is speak to people in a way where you're being useful and you're being helpful, and maybe talk to more people. But no matter how many people or women you talk to doesn't mean that's going to cover the basis of a sister you never met before. You know what I'm saying? But as far as having a man and a boy's life, hell yeah, you know. But don't make it seem like the woman effed up because she doesn't have one, because there'd be all kind of reasons why, um, that you might want to think about first, and maybe you can help out with some solutions for that too. You know, it's not always what someone thinks. There's women out here that have been abused. There's women out here that had to be out of that situation because of there's women out here that you don't know if she has mental health issues that make it harder for you. You just don't know. It could be maybe her children are disabled or have mental issues too, versus just saying you need to do this, get a man and do this and marry him. Things aren't that complex and simple for people, and maybe they've tried and can't really get it because of these things, or these health problems or mental health issues or things they're going through. So that being considered, take the all around look at what it could be, versus just you thinking that it solely has to do with her choices. you know what I mean, of the men, or her not going out there and finding a man. Like, it's like, come on, doesn't work. It's not that easy. It doesn't work that way. So I don't think people take the time out to really truly think about that, you know? And for me, it's none of your business. Like, I'm kidding now. For me, it's none of those. And it's nothing that anybody would ever think. It's actually a whole nother story that I do on Patreon between me and his father, and it has nothing to do with the generalization or anything that anybody ever talks about on social media. So that's a clear example right there. And I'm going to leave on this note saying this is kind of like what I'm saying here. And I'll use this as an example. So I remember one time I was on one of my social audio apps, right? And it's like one of those ones that give you 5 minutes to say what you have to say, and then yada, yada, whatever. And so some people were like, oh, some people keep using the whole 5 minutes. Like sometimes just like complaining about using the 5 minutes usually isn't enough for my creativity, right? But some people were complaining about some people that do the question or whatever they do, and then go into another part. This and that. There's some people attention span is getting a little bit shorter. They don't have time to do anything. 5 minutes, huh? That got that much going on, right? And then it got me to thinking, like, about when they were doing that and saying that. I was like, how easy to be inconsiderate. Because what if it's somebody that speaks a little slower, or you know what I mean, has those brain, those moments. Because the thing is, like, when somebody has like an impediment or like they're stuttering, it's usually something it's in the brain. And then to me, when they said that, it was like, how do you know, like, somebody they can't use they need more than the 5 minutes, because their thought process is, is how they're getting the words out, and you haven't even considered that. So my thing is, think about it before you just assume, or it could be a plethora of things. And to end it on this, when I had thought about that, and then I was on this other one called Soundwave, and I met this girl that told me how she really liked it, because looking at the app, they do something where with people that have certain disabilities, or with their eyes or something, she was able to stare at it or look at it. And it showed me, because I was already thinking, like, are people making like communities and apps for people that, that have certain disabilities and stuff? And so I was seeing that more. But yeah, so know the situation, because if you don't at all, don't generalize. I'm just saying. I mean, you can all you want to. I'm just a little, food for thought. And explore, flourish the possibilities. It's not always as simple as someone can make it, because then you never know, when you open up to that way, you could possibly still help affect people's lives that have more of a colorful situation to their situation, if you want to be fully useful. So that's all I got today. Thank you, girl Brandy J. Peace out. I hope I talked fast enough for you to get this out. Whoosh, I'm a little parched.